I am Yori Folani. Let's look at the issue of inclusivity today, and of course, I'm talking about the inclusivity of persons with disabilities in all social developmental issues. And when we do that kind of a conversation, when we have that kind of a conversation, you won't be surprised that we have Jake Ekpele, who comes on. Jake is the CEO of TAF Africa, formerly known as the Albino Foundation. He's also a public affairs analyst. And we'll be looking today at disability rights at the United Nations and a focus on, well, COSP, COSP18. A fine morning to you, Jake.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. My brother who does his job with ease.
You're too kind. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, COSP, that name, COSP, COSP, COSP18, well, it's that way because it's the 18th session of something called the Conference of States Parties to Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. I hope I sort of broke it up there.
Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah, so people can sort of understand. Now, it's scheduled to take place from the 10th to the 12th of June this year. So I dare say if you're going to be there, you no doubt must have started packing because that is just around the corner. So, by the way, let me just double check that. You will be in New York, the headquarters of the UN,
yes,
for this particular event. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm part of Nigerian delegation.
Part of the Nigerian delegation. Well, people say Nigeria know they carry last. I was expecting that Nigeria will be quite. I understand that Tanzania too is very, very active. In fact, they seem to be representative of the African group at the United Nations. Is it a rotational thing? Have we been there before? Are we looking forward to be there?
I don't think Nigeria has missed any session. We've always been there. Sometimes the spotlight is on a particular country who has a particular issues that they want to scale up and ensure the advocacy and the awareness within the conference can solve their problem. But this year, conference is of a very huge interest to me.
Okay.
First, I must say that you know me, when the president does well, we give him a thumbs up. When he's not, we will criticize. But I'm happy, not because I'm included in the delegation, and I don't want to talk about how it works. Like I'm being included and I'm going myself. But however, the country is sending a very good team to the conference to represent what we have done and to present it in a very succinct manner and let it all know, because I think and I believe that we have done well in terms of inclusion, whether it's the framework or implementation, more than most African countries and even some countries in Europe. So it's a very good development that we are going to participate and present our national statement, showcasing what we have been able to do.
Okay. And, well, it's interesting when you sort of prefaced your remarks by saying that, look, when, administrations do well, you will be happy to share that fact, and if not, you shall also not shy away. I take that to mean that you are indeed sanctioning that. Well, the promise that we've been talking about, you're sort of crediting this administration with doing well.
Yeah, I mean,
in that regard.
Yes, in terms of this international attention and throwing spotlights on disability inclusion, Nigeria is doing well. We've made very heartwarming presentation in Portugal during the Rabat process. We have also made the same powerful presentation at the GDS, which is the conference, this Global Disability Summit in Germany. And we are set to also make a good impression in New York at the UN House. So there's no other way. If the government is not sensitive to making sure that we participate in these international conventions, then they won't send a contingent of people that they know understand the issues and will be able to speak to those issues and get us the results. This conference, my brother, is focusing on about 4 or 5 key areas.
Okay.
Number one is the spotlight on social development. For the first time in a while, the issue of social development of persons with disability is taking center stage. They want to see how persons with disability can be empowered so that they will live a meaningful life and make wonderful contributions to nation building. The other thing also that is for the first time, the indigenous people.
Yeah.
The indigenous people with disability this time will have a voice. And I'm looking forward to recognizing some of them and supporting them and adding my voice to the advocacy and the lobbying on the floor of the UN COP18 convention. And so we'll
let me come in a bit there, Jake, because as you just said, I've also been reading, in the notes of the UN on this matter, that recognizing and addressing the rights of indigenous people with disabilities.
With disabilities.
Yes, let's talk a bit about that. I mean, in Nigeria here, what, a population of over 200 million. People put it somewhere around 220, that kind of a thing. Well, what's the number that the official number that we are using as a working figure of those with disability among us?
My dear brother, you have scratched a very tough wound of persons with disability in the country, and maybe this is one conference that I will personally drum this problem. I'll be able to highlight this problem, and that's the problem of data, accurate, verifiable, evidence-based data. We don't have it, and for development partners to contribute immensely to the development of the social development of persons with disability, they need the data to plan, they need the data to execute, they need the data to implement. So the call for holistic data of persons with disability in disaggregated manner. This person has albinism, this person is blind, this person is a woman, this is a man, this is children. It's understatement to say we need it and we need it badly. And I agree that we have a very scarce resources, but I believe also that if government puts out these problems out there are development partners who wants to solve this problem. And we will use this opportunity to see how we can present it in a manner that shows how urgent the matter is, and so that we can get intervention. That's the essence of this kind of meetings. It's a ground for networking, but also not just networking, but also making sure that the network is worth the while, so that it will bring net worth, if I may use that right.
Okay, I think, Jake, permit me to say so, kudos needs to go to you too for the work that you and your colleagues have been doing. I introduced you as the CEO, I didn't even say founder and CEO of TAF Africa. And if people are wondering TAF Africa, well, it's also fully expressed as, formerly known as the Albino Foundation, now TAF Africa, because you've mentioned other areas of interest that are in your catchment area, the blind, the people with different kind of challenges, and that's apart from your being a public affairs analyst, because you will come in, let the political season come in now. You people are actually, as soon as that one comes in, you people are sending observers, you're fully involved, and you have a whole team on the ground. And so thank God for TAF, formerly known as the Albino Foundation, that has been doing tremendous work. Now, let's move ahead. I wanted to ask about indigenous people with, with disabilities, and indigenous people with disabilities. Explain that. Okay, we understand. When I asked the question about how many were we dealing with, how many people were we dealing with, okay, we know that that's still a work in progress. There are challenges in that area.
Well, we have a guesstimate, brother.
Okay. What guesstimate are we using?
Well, sometimes it's not a stable number. Sometimes it's 30 million. Other times it's 35 million. But I believe we're actually more than that. If we can use the instrument of technology to drive this data, we should be able to pick up accurate, verifiable, and evidence-based data, but also an inclusive data.
Okay.
In other words, when you are pursuing data using several methodology, but the important thing here is to ensure that we have the disaggregated outcome. That means you can tell that there are 5 people with albinism in this location. There are 10 persons with who are blind in this location, 20 who are deaf. And all that.
Okay.
But like you rightly said, we're also interested in knowing certain settlement where the persons with disability are domiciled, and many of them are in that settlement as indigene of that settlement.
Okay.
And oftentimes they are totally and absolutely forgotten. Sometimes we also create this artificial indigenous persons where we congregate them in a camp. And all they know is their community. Yesterday, we were privileged to go and meet one of such community in Karamajiji in Abuja, and made a financial donation so that they can take teachers into the classroom, so that they can pay teachers, so that they can go and teach young children who are often not with disability, but their parents who are disability are
it has impacted them.
Yes, are not able to actually send them to school and fend for them. So we have a project called Adopt a Child. And so we are approaching individuals and organizations and say, look, you don't even need to give us the money. We'll just give you 5 names that every year you just pay their school fees and provide for them to be able to go to school. Because, brother, education, that's the pathway to ensuring that an individual most likely will succeed. And when that individual succeeds and money in that person's hand, it will know no discrimination, because the color of money does not discriminate.
How well is that being taken up? Are you encouraged by the rate at which this idea of, look, you don't even need to deal, will you sponsor a child, for instance? Is that being taken up?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we're expecting a cash donation from an organization. I don't know if they would like us to mention their name, but for anyone who is interested in this, you can always go to our website, www.tafafrica.co, and then you go to where we archive material. You will see annual.
Indeed, it's a
account.
It's a valuable resource, the website that you've just mentioned, and people should know that you said .co, not .com. Let them not just go and put .com and then be saying that it's not coming up. But meanwhile,
you are very smart.
A viewer has called in. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to Dr. Jake.
Yes.
Thank you,
Uncle Yori, it is one thing to have an international policy from the UN, from many of those international agencies, but it's another to domesticate those policies and decisions. I think, in my view, it is time for the National Assembly to enact a law on people with disabilities and establish a supervisory agency, an agency that you can see the number that Dr. Jake mentioned. 30 million estimated disabilities. That's enough to have an agency to take care of them, to make sure that the law that has been enacted by the National Assembly is implemented. Laws like employment opportunities. You make it mandatory for some corporate organizations to employ a disabled person that has the
a person with disability.
Yes, people with disabilities that can work in their organizations and also earn a living like a normal person. Yeah, I also know that there is a policy on how to design public buildings. Many public buildings do not obey it. So this agency that will be doing the supervision can enforce or try to make it work. There is need for it. 30 million Nigerians is not a small number.
It isn't.
We need to be our neighbor's keeper.
Indeed.
That's just my contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. George, for
Please,
calling in.
let me just quickly answer Brother George. Brother George, thank you for your wonderful ideas. But those things are already in existence. We do have a law. It's called Discrimination and Prohibition Act. Or what we call Disability Act. We do have a law that was signed by former President Buhari in 2018. Yeah. That law is in place. The National Assembly, especially the House of Representatives, is doing her bit to implement that. Some of the provisions that you mentioned are already in the law.
Yes.
5%, not less than 5% employment threshold. I think it's important to emphasize this because when they look at the law, they think that the law says 5%. They say, no, you can go more than 5%, but not less than 5%. So that is in place. In terms of an agency, we do have an agency. It's called National Commission for Persons with Disability. They are fast growing, establishing branches, encouraging state governments to also establish their own commission. So we do have that. And then, of course, you talked about employment. The Discrimination Act do stipulates the employment of persons with disability in a very, very heartwarming matter.
Okay.
Now, my organization with the Commission and several other organizations, which was funded by SiteSaver, launched a project called Access to Work Scheme. It's a framework that is designed to help both the persons with disability who are looking for a job and the people that will employ them.
Okay.
So that framework is already in place. As a matter of fact, it was front and center at the Global Disability Summit, a situation that allowed me to speak twice and to hold side events. I think it's maybe the first time that you have a Nigerian speak at the opening, which is a keynote, and then at the closing. So the opportunity is there. We are working with ILO, International Labour Organization, to even push it at the global level.
Okay. Well, sorry, I beg your pardon, Jake. Let me just, to welcome the viewers that have joined us as a result of, we've now all, in addition to those in diaspora and those on the internet that have been watching us, now our regular stream of viewers have joined us. And of course, you can see we're talking with Jake Ekpele, CEO and founder of TAF Africa, formerly known as the Albino Foundation. He's a public affairs analyst as well. And I wonder if you can see there, we're preparing for the 18th session of the Conference of States Parties to the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. Just to bring you right up to stream. Of course, you can catch the program in its entirety from the top when it goes out in its repeat broadcast. So just to, sorry about that, Jake, but I had to just welcome viewers, additional viewers that had arrived. Now, thank you very much for what you just said, and you gave the guesstimate of what, up to what, 30 million, which is no mean figure.
Yes.
And I was going to say that Nigeria being its size, we probably have the largest number of people that we have to deal with disabilities, or is it not the case?
No, we do have a measurable number of people because I mean the country is
It's
housing
huge.
the is the yes most populous nation in Africa, you know. So we do have quite a number, but globally the statistics, accurate statistics, puts it at 1.3 billion people.
Globally.
Yes, and for statisticians who can dissect and give us percentage, I think I read somewhere that Nigeria records 16% of that
I
on
see.
a global scale.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
So in terms of the population in Africa, I think we're more than, and like Brother George did say, that number can do like it's more than 2, 3 countries in West Africa, you know. But then the work we are doing, and I must also confess that most times the government listen, you know, other times they will struggle to implement. But however, we still have the best framework when it comes to disability inclusion in Africa. We were surprised when myself and the Honorable Minister for Humanitarian, and by the way, I will soon get him on your program because he had come here to reel out what he wants to do. And in my meeting with him yesterday, he has shown me those things that he said he would do, that he's doing them.
Okay.
And so I said to him, well, you need to come back to the show of my friend and present to the country those things that you said you would do, that you are doing them.
Okay.
He's doing remarkably well. And I can say
Well,
that Professor Nentao is one
exactly.
of the star ministers of this administration.
Professor,
Nentawe.
there you go. You know.
That's
Okay.
the minister for humanitarian.
Okay, and to those viewers who have just joined us, we said before you arrived that COSP18 is the 18th session of the Conference of States Parties to the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, and this will be holding in New York in June. As I'm reading here, from the 10th to the 12th of June, and we established that Brother Jake here is going to be ably representing Nigeria at this particular session. Moving.
I'm not the only one.
Of course, that's important. Thank you very much. Because you had even included it in what you were speaking about, that there's a high quality delegation. This was when you were talking about this administration and saying that, look, let us say what is on ground. They're doing great. They're doing remarkably well in this particular sector. I don't know if I would say that perhaps that community has never had it so good. I don't know for sure, but at least you seem pleased. You seem pleased.
Well, I think I would say that we have a government that is a bit more compassionate, and this is where I always praise the president. I follow his antecedent when it comes to having a heart of compassion.
Well, he talks about
also
he talks about a renewed hope. He talks about a renewed hope agenda.
Well, I wouldn't speak holistically on the renewed hope agenda, but I can speak for sure. I can speak for sure the aspect that has to do with inclusion,
exactly,
which is very above average. But the Minister for Humanitarian is consistently rolling out the intervention. So it will be too early to adjudge whether it will be a above 60% threshold in terms of marking, or it will be below. But with what I have seen, and to be honest with you, Professor Nentawe means business. And I think at the end of the day, I said to him a few days ago, I said, maybe you're the only one implementing the Renew Hope agenda, you know. But
Okay.
it's heartwarming to know. Maybe because he's a person with disability, you won't even know. He says it and he's very proud to say it. He doesn't have much sense of smell. So that's an aspect of disability that he's dealing with.
Indeed. Okay. That's that. You know, you just pointed out something. It's one thing to be visually challenged. That's to do with the eyes. Then you can be deaf. That's to do with the ears. And what you're saying is that the sense of smell is another aspect, and that concerns the nose. And that's something that we don't really know too much about, that it can also be a disability because it's a sensory organ. It's a sensory organ, and not having that particular sense poses its own challenges, right?
Guess what? It affected him academically. He will proudly say that I kept failing and failing and failing until someone came and assisted me. Guess what? This same guy who was failing in primary school started making the first position from secondary school until he came out with a first class. He's a professor. He's a professor of electronics and computer science.
That's our current Minister of Humanitarian Affairs.
Yes. He was one of the first national commissioner in INEC that also championed the introduction of digitalization, you know. So he's been an all-rounder. He was a consultant to UNICEF and all that. And I hope I'm not reeling out his profile.
No, but you see, we need to know these things those souls who are doing extraordinary things in their own quiet way and being as effective as you have been pointing out to us.
As far as I'm concerned, he's the best minister of humanitarian that has ever been appointed.
Wow.
Quote me on that. Records are there. He is.
That's
in
high
terms
praise
of
indeed.
Identifying with the community, in terms of having concrete intervention for the community. The reason it looks like we are not hearing much, and I kept telling him that's a disservice to himself. The reason why it looks like we're not hearing much is because he decided to just walk. But I said to him, the media doesn't have eyes everywhere. Until you come to them, you can't showcase what you're doing. So he believes that it's time for him to begin to showcase what he's doing, where he's doing it, who are the beneficiary of what he's doing, and how long that intervention will last. Strategically, he's been doing that. I am not a spokesperson. Let me also give this caveat.
You have said so.
I'm not.
Yeah, but thanks for it, because these are individuals that we definitely need to know about. And the president has, in fact, as you are saying, the president has said that his ministers, his administration's ministers should go out there and let the country, indeed the world, know what we are doing here in our different sectors, all of which are important to social development of our people, a cause that I know is very dear to your heart. Okay, I think what I should do now, let me take a quick break. She's been telling us some nice things, including the work of the Honorable Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Professor Nentawe Goshwe Yilwata, appointed by President Tinubu in 2024. There's also in that setup the Minister of State in that same ministry, Honorable Yusuf T. Sununu. And we are talking here about an upcoming United Nations conference, that is coming up, and we've been at it for about this is the 18th session, and we've been at it for quite a while, so Nigerians are quite experienced. If you've just joined us, thank you for coming, and there's still a a lot more to say about this whole matter. In fact, so much that we can't possibly exhaust it. But at least you are going in there. We are being led, what with Professor Yilwata, Yilwatda. You know, one has to be sure Yilwatda, and
I have a problem pronouncing that.
Yes, Professor
that's why I
Nentawe, Professor Nentawe
Nentawe.
Gashwe Yilwatda. You know, and then his Minister of State is Honorable Yusuf Sununu. Let's just get that in there. And these are, you know, heroes really who are working not just in the Ministry of, when you say Minister of Humanitarian, there's also an additional and poverty alleviation. Reduction, poverty reduction. By the way, one or other of the ministers will also be in New York.
No, the main minister was to be in New York, but he's not going to do that. He's going to be able to do that. He's sending the permanent secretary. And, they're working hand in hand to make sure that we won't miss him much. But you can't,
because of the quality people that he will be sending.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, when we were speaking earlier, and Mr. George called in and had, you know, said that, look, we need laws, and you were explaining that, yeah, we do. We actually do have these laws that stipulate a minimum uptake of people in employment and all of that. I guess the point is, Mr. George might know that or not, but the fact that you don't see it, it's unfortunate that it is only some foreign concerns who erect buildings, and then you have specialists, well, you have the ramps, and you see that these are things, you immediately know. You have reserved parking for, you know, people with disability who are drivers. You know, you are not to go there. In short, treating them with the respect that every Nigerian deserves. It's unfortunate that for now, you see this in international establishments. But I suppose what we were talking about before, Nigerians have a long way to come in that regard. Because it's not every person with a disability that is really at a social disadvantage. And it's important to put that out there. Okay. Now,
no, not really. I think I forgot to respond to that, his concern. TAF Africa have an MOU with NIA, Nigerian Institute of Architects. And we've been working with them to either to do an audit of building and recognize spots where we need to make that building and its environment disability friendly. But something real great is also happening at the level of civil service. The new, she'll be 1 year in August, Barrister Mrs. Walson-Jack has always been passionate about persons with disabilities. So she has inaugurated, she has put together, yet to be inaugurated, a committee that NIA and the charming president of NIA, all of them are part of that, and I've just been invited to join them. And we'll do a thorough audit of all the public building within the civil service, you know, within the civil service. And so at the end of the day, we should be able to have a proper knowledge of where accessibility is required.
Is an issue. You know, immediately, most Nigerians will say that they haven't seen it at banks, for instance. One of the most common public institutions is banks. And, you know, banks have their particular security. There are some. Of course, there are some. Let me bring, I beg your pardon for interrupting you. Let me bring on Durosimi, who has called in from Lekki. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. This AIG Durosimi retired.
Good morning to you, sir.
I was with you yesterday. I just want to correct an impression before going to today's topic. Yesterday, we were talking about the Marine Police. It was established in 1891.
There you go.
Known as Police Night Patrol, patrolling the ports in Lagos. That's for that. What I want is government should remember that the Nigerian Police Marine needs support and need equipment just like others. Then on
Okay.
today's topic,
Yes.
I know the UN program is coming very soon.
Very
but
soon.
It is one thing to go to this jamboree and come back without doing something. We must realize that the handicapped did not make themselves what they are, and it could have been anybody. So when we go for this UN program and other jamboree, we should come back and implement those things in Nigeria.
Okay.
Like the way we build our structures. There must be provisions for the handicapped. How do they get in? The way
Okay.
we make our employment, there must be provision for handicapped because they are part and parcel of Nigeria. They are Nigerian citizens who
Okay.
never chose to be handicapped.
Yeah, but Mr. Adrosimi, when you call it a jamboree,
that you are talking about in the program. That's my
correct an
contribution.
impression.
okay, thank you very much. I
Please don't
think
use the term handicap. Don't use the term handicap. And it's not. I don't mean to really correct you, but I just want to make sure that viewers don't see that as a nomenclature for the description of persons with disability. It's a bit derogatory.
okay.
We're not handicapped. We are persons with disability.
Yes. Okay.
And all shades of disability.
Okay.
And just like Brother Yori was saying, these are not jamboree.
They're not really jamborees. They're not jamborees.
There are serious conferences, very serious issues were discussed. And one of
Because
the things
the connotation of the word jamboree is a fun, fair kind of,
exactly. These are very
event.
serious,
But these are
minded,
conferences,
concrete-driven,
sessions, United Nations.
organizational driven.
But I think yes, sir. But to not belabor the point. I think the point that the gentleman wanted to was making really was that when we come back with concrete notions, concrete ideas, and indeed discernible development from there, that I think is what is bemoaning.
Absolutely. My time is precious for me, and the things I do with the time is most important to me. So I won't go there. I don't even sometimes have time to go and shop. It is a very structured meeting. You start in the morning, and by the way, this thing is starting next week. It's a very structured.
It's between the 10th and the 12th of June.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Actually, Brother Yor, it starts at the 9th. The 9th, on the 9th of this month is the Civil Society Day. So you have all kinds of civil society discussing all kinds of topics, finding solution to the problems that they brought to the conference, networking and intervening and collaborating. So it's a very, very well structured meetings with sessions, with discussions, with interactions.
Okay. So
plenary.
But you've explained two terms that two expressions that we need to be understanding of. One is the expression of handicap, and then the other is the jamboree thing. I'm sure the senior retired police officer meant no harm, but still we do mention they're not jamborees. Number two, we don't. Yes, we're not holding it against him. Number two, we don't talk about jamborees in this kind of an event, which is what you're speaking on.
Exactly.
But moving on quickly, did I say already that? Recognizing, this whole matter about, I made a note of it here, using artificial intelligence as a tool for supporting inclusivity. I made a note of that to strengthen the participation of persons with disabilities. Talk to me about that. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, Brother Yori, I will address that, but also just in case I don't want to forget that this year conference is also throwing a spotlight on financial inclusion, which is one aspect that I haven't really delved into and provide solutions. So I'll talk to you about that. But the aspect you raise is also another very important theme that this year is focusing on, which is the use of technology and the AI. You will agree with me that individuals like me have reasonably excel in certain things that I do because I am technology driven. I dream and I eat and I wake up using technology to enhance whatever I am doing. Yes. And AI right now is a huge plus.
It's the cutting edge right now. It's the cutting edge right now of technology. artificial intelligence.
Yes,
And
it drives virtually everything and gives you solution in quick succession. You know, I can produce documents that would have taken me 2 weeks to type in just snap of my finger.
indeed.
You know, so it's a welcome development.
But as you know, it can be, as you know, sir, it can be a double-edged sword as well. So, you know, around the world, people are, where people are taking great care. You see all the videos, if you happen to have time to spend on social media, you see all these videos about leaders, young leaders in Africa, just cooking up stories, just cooking up stories that are AI-driven, you know, and falsehoods, as a matter of fact. So it's a double-edged sword, but if it is used properly, it's an invaluable asset, is what you're saying, and you have found it very, very useful.
There are people, there are people that look out for an opportunity to use a good means in such a bad manner. And so this is what I say to people: when you are misinformed, get informed, because the information you have will dismiss the misinformation.
Okay.
If you want to, for instance, correct an impression, highlight the truth. Truth will always cover and dismiss ignorance. So while you're doing that, double check what you're doing. And when you know what is not there, what is not useful to what you're doing, you will know it. If you know, you have a comprehensive knowledge of what you're doing. And it takes understanding. Understanding has 3 elements. 1 is comprehension, 2 is interpretation, and the third and the most powerful is discernment. Okay. So if you have these things, you know, you're able to look at a body of language, a body of information, you know, understanding it, and then being able to interpret the meaning and the connotations around that body of information. The last aspect is for you to be able to discern what is right or wrong. Indeed. And choose what is right.
Indeed. And unfortunately, some intentionally choose that which is not right and put falsehoods out there using artificial intelligence. But tell me, Brother
Because
Jake,
they're telling them what they're expecting. They are telling them what they want to know. You know, a friend of mine just walked in here, and I've been trying to get hold of him. This guy is an information merchant. I won't say his name, but very soon I will introduce him to you. He's able to dissect information and bring out the real truth within a body of information.
Okay. Is that one of the ways in which, because I was going to ask the question of, at a very base level, tell me how artificial intelligence, you know, which you're striving to use as a tool for supporting inclusivity, you know, of people with disability, you know. Okay, well, before you go, let Mazi not accuse me of not letting him in. Mazi Okorafor has just come on, so let me quickly switch to Mazi Okorafor. Good morning, Mazi Okorafor.
Good morning, sir. You see, the problem we are having in Nigeria is that most of our hospitals, name them, worship places, they don't have a place for people with disability. That is why they sleep. Even if you go to the airport, you have seen the social reports where people were complaining. To enter an aircraft, they were telling them stories. So that is why this year conference is very, very timely. The Nigerian government should give a law that if you are building a house, shopping center, anywhere, even vehicles, no provision for disabled people.
Yeah, but Jake has just said that, you know, indeed we do have those laws. But I think you're right in saying that they are not commonplace. We don't see them as we go about. That is not to say that they don't exist.
Yeah, I know, because it's what I mean by it's a must. But let people.
But we got you. We got you, Mazi Okorafor.
Yes, there is. First of all, there's a legal instrument that gives impetus to ensuring that we have disability-friendly transportation system. But also, you must understand that there are people. For instance, I have an official car that I drive. It didn't come fitted with maybe lowering the place so that a person with disability who is a passenger can join me. So there are buildings that have already been there. But let me also make this information known to your viewers that NIA have decided that any artistic
NIA,
architectural...
Nigerian Institute of Architects?
Yes.
Okay.
If you submit your drawing for their stamp of the authority and they don't see that is fitted to make sure that it has ramps and other disability-friendly design, they will not approve it. So you can't use it. So we've been able to do that. You don't need a law to do that. That is common sense over nonsense of not being able to make sure that they...
But the law helps. The law helps just in case a person was ignorant. So the law will quickly set that right,
Oh, yes, it does. It does. But on our own part, I must take responsibility that we have to do more in terms of awareness of the law, in terms of the people that we are targeting that we feel will contravene the law. Laws shouldn't be made just to catch people who are not really ready to obey it. Law is there to checkmate, to warn people so that they don't violate the provisions of the law. So I can tell you I've been in this for 20 years, and I know that a lot of people actually wants to do the right thing, but they just don't know it. I did say to you at the beginning of this program that an organization is trying to help us in their Adopt a Child project, and the managing director of that organization just walked into my office, but I won't mention his name. Or former managing director, because he just retired.
Okay. Well, there's this whole matter of resources. I see on on your website that you directed people to that there are a number of sponsors. I saw there the MacArthur Foundation. I don't know, I saw the logo of INEC there as well. Those are two that just jumped out. It's not two, there are more than two there. Talk to me about those guys who are doing good things in that regard.
Well, there are two ways we work. We work with implementing partner or the beneficiary, and we work with the funding partner. So the first logo you see there is the logo of the European Union delegation in Nigeria, which, in my own opinion, they are the biggest funder of disability inclusion in the country. And we implement, not because we implement, I'm just telling you the stated facts. We implement the project that has to do with disability inclusion. And so INEC is a beneficiary. So we provide either policy framework or policy, and making sure that we do the training and disability.
INEC is a beneficiary. INEC is actually a beneficiary of TAP Africa.
Yes.
No. Okay.
Yes, they do. They do. Yeah, we support them. They encourage us to support them. We support them at no cost at all to them. No cost at all. So INEC cannot and will not, and I don't want them to give me money to do something for them. No, I'm not a contractor. I'm just an NGO person. Yeah.
Well,
so
Brother Jake, it's been an interesting conversation as always, and well, the time is running down.
I know.
The senior police officer, the retired senior police officer that spoke with us earlier, I think Mr. Forgive me for forgetting the actual rank, but Mr. Drosimi has called back in. How can we help you, sir?
Yeah, I'm sorry for the word used. I'm very, very sorry for the word used. I never meant to insult the gentleman there. It's just a misuse of words.
He did say, sir.
I hope you will accept my apology.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, you don't even need to apologize, sir. You don't need to apologize.
Who have one problem or the other. That is just it. Nothing more than that. And I mean conferences. I don't really mean jamboree parties.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Implement what is actually agreed in those conferences so that it can be for the betterment for our brothers.
Exactly. Oh, thank you very much for calling back, sir. And Jake had said that no apology was required. He understood perfectly. Right, Jake? That's what you're saying.
Leadership.
Indeed. Well, I think this is a fine place. It's a happy place to leave it. Well, some of us, we struggle with these definitions. We try to know what is right. Sometimes maybe we are over careful. Sometimes we talk, we don't want to talk about blind people until we're encouraged to. Don't go ahead and say it. It is the blind. There's no such thing as visually challenged. Blind is blind.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So we're sort of maneuvering our way so as not to give offense. So thank you very much, Mr. Durosimi, for calling back in. And thank you too, Brother Jake, for, as always, sir, talking with us about these important matters.
I think we should talk to you from New York. We will talk to you from New York.
We'll see what can be arranged. That will be very nice. Yes, thank you very much. So once again, the actual event is the 10th to 12th. What you've explained that actually from the 9th, it will start. It will start from the 9th itself. That will be a day. The 9th will be the day for, what did you say?
It's Civil Society Day.
Civil Society Day, from the 9th.
Participating civil society.
All this going on in the headquarters of the UN in New York. Thank you very much, Brother Jake. And thank you to all those who called in on this important subject matter. Every last Nigerian counts, and there's the attitude of no man left behind. Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition